Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Today's the first day, or first hearing of the month for the hearing officer. My name is Vanessa McDonald. I'm the hearing officer, so I'll be conducting the hearing this afternoon. We have a really short agenda, but I do have to read something into the record before we can hear the few cases that we have this afternoon. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona revised statutes and the City of Tempe zoning and development code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out both the provisions and the intent of the zoning and development code and Tempe City Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the city. These violations include, among other things, deteriorated structures or landscaping, storage of junk or refuse, or deteriorated swimming pools. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer may issue an order directing the owner, occupant, rental agent, property manager, or other responsible person to remediate a code violation, or to authorize the city to abate the property to correct the code violation. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the property where the violation occurred and will be collected as an assessment against the property in violation. On today's agenda, we have 3 items. We have a set of minutes from June 20th, 2023, and we have 2 property abatements. A previously published agenda showed that we had 3 property abatements, but agenda item number 4 has been now brought into compliance with the Tempe City Code. Any property owner who's aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. As such, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on July 19th, 2023. Appeals are heard by the Tempe Board of Adjustment, after which they may also be appealed to the Superior Court. A property owner has 14 days to either file an appeal or bring the property into code compliance within this 14-day window. If neither of these things happen within the required time frame, the property will be abated by the city. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development to my left are Cassidy Hernandez and Drew Yoakum. Thanks, guys, for being here and helping out this afternoon. Moving into our agenda, the first item is the consideration of meeting minutes from June 20th, 2023. I had a chance to review the minutes when Cassidy sent them to me, and I believe they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to approve the minutes of June 20th, 2023. Agenda item number 2 is a request for approval to abate public nuisance items at the McCauley property. This property is located at 1048 South Parkside Drive in Tempe. The applicant is City of Tempe Code Compliance, represented this afternoon by Inspector Michelle Van Etten. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Hearing Officer. Michelle Van Etten, Code Inspector, City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. I'm here this afternoon to request a 180-day open abatement for the property located at 1048 South Parkside Drive, Tempe. The reason for doing so would be to remediate trash and debris in the rear yard, an excess amount of inoperable and unregistered vehicles in the rear yard, and potentially grass and weeds in the rear yard. This case was initiated on October 20th, 2022, after I received a complaint of trash and debris in the front yard and address numbers not being displayed. I inspected the property, found that both of those were valid, in addition to another violation, and I sent a correction notice to the listed homeowner. I re-inspected on November 4th, 2022. Between those dates, I did receive a secondary complaint regarding the backyard, so I inspected the backyard as well. The front yard violations were not corrected. There were additional violations in the backyard, which included the 5 vehicles and trash and debris in the rear yard. So another notice was sent to the homeowner. I went out a third time on December 5th, 2022, and at that time the front landscape was acceptable. The trash and debris items were still there, but they did appear to be better. And there were still 5 vehicles in the rear yard. I went back out once again on December 14th, found that the 5 vehicles were still in the rear yard. There was still some debris in the front yard, but the landscaping itself was presentable, and there was trash and debris in the rear yard. I issued a citation to the homeowner. That citation wasn't contested, and it was satisfied with the City of Tempe courts. Because of that, I waited a little extra time before going back out on December 31st. Took a look for the same violations, and same citation was issued for those violations. This time, the citation was not contested, nor was it satisfied with the courts. So I figured better be prepared to start the abatement process. I monitored the property for quite a while. I went out on March 24th of this year and found that there was now very tall grass in the rear yard that hadn't been addressed prior. So I sent out one additional notice with all of the violations. And then on May 5th, 2023, I posted a notice of intent to abate on the property. When doing so, I was contacted by the homeowner, spoke with him, explained the process, what the violations were and why. He said that he understood, and he was going to try to address them before today and/or a short time after today, because I said after the hearing you have about 2 weeks to. I did go out again this afternoon to take some photos, and I'd like to show them to you now, if I may.
Thank you. Yeah, the ones in my packet are dated May 5th, and the landscaping is really high. But we had a lot of rain this spring, so.
Yeah, that looks really good today, so that was nice. So there's still trash and debris, although it is on a trailer. It looks like maybe it's in the process of being removed. There is a better picture that will come later, but there's still 2 vehicles here. This tarped area is new, so what's under it, it could be the 5th vehicle, I don't know. More trash and debris. This is just a better look at what was on the card. It is trash and debris, and it is in violation of city code. The yard itself does look significantly better. They got rid of the grass and weeds. A lot of these are tools, but there are a few trash and debris items that we would want to get taken care of. There is a better look at the 2 vehicles. And I apologize.
So we're down to how many cars?
I don't have the other 2 vehicles picture. It's still on the printer, apparently. I was having some issues with the printer.
That's okay.
2 on one side and the same 2 that are on the north side of the property that were there. Yeah, so there's only 4 now. Although I can't speak for what's under the tarp. All inoperable and unregistered.
Unregistered.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And when you spoke to the property owner, what's his deal? Like, what did
It was
he
a matter
say?
of finances. He did pay the first ticket, and then he said he did realize that he was in violation. He didn't have money to take care of the second ticket.
Okay.
And it was a matter of paying somebody to remove the vehicles
cars,
from the
yeah.
rear yard.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thanks for going out and taking the photos. Mr. Yoakum, is there anyone on the line wanting to speak?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a note for the record. There's no one here in the chamber other than staff this afternoon, so no one is here to speak on this item. Well, it sounds like over the past 8 months, he's made a little bit of baby steps with,
Yes.
the landscaping and getting a hold of that. Hopefully, with those items on the trailer, they will be on their way out. Nevertheless, since it has been 8 months, I think that we need to give you the tool that you're looking for to allow you to stay on top of this property. That tool being the 180-day open abatement. If he gets it together in the next couple of weeks, great. But if not, that'll give you what you need to clean the property up. So given the fact, your report today and the homeowner is not here this afternoon, I'm going to go ahead and approve your application or request for abatement contained in CE 226328. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
Our next item is another request to abate public nuisance items. This property is at 1878, or it's at the 1878 Tempe LLC property located at 1878 East Southern Avenue. The applicant is the City of Tempe, represented again this afternoon by Michelle Van Etten.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. Michelle Van Etten, Code Inspector, City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. For this case, I'm requesting a 180-day open abatement for grass and weeds in a dirt and gravel vacant lot that, as you mentioned, is at 1878 East Southern Ave in Tempe. I initiated this case on March 13th of this year when I saw tall grass and weeds in the vacant lot. I sent a correction notice to the owner of the listed parcel, and I sent a secondary notice to the address that the LLC came back to, which was a different address. Figured we'd try them both.
Okay.
That LLC came back to a different LLC, and then it was that LLC that actually had an address and a listed owner of Thanet Colvin. So that's the address and the name that I used.
Okay.
On March 27th, 2023, I re-inspected and I found that the grass and weeds had not been removed. I sent a final correction notice to both addresses. Very soon after that, I also sent a citation, and that citation and the first notice came back at about the same time, which was odd. The citation was signed for by a person other than the owner, but the other one said not deliverable as addressed, the actual notice.
Okay.
So those are the two that I did get returned. Nothing else was returned. As I mentioned, I issued the citation on April 10th of 23. That was never satisfied with the courts. I sent a certified copy that was returned and one that was not certified. That was not returned. I don't know. It wasn't paid and nor was it contested. Okay, and I double checked that in the court management system today, and it was sent to collections. So at this point, the only option I feel is to clean up the property. To clean up the property is to go through the abatement process. I went out and took pictures this afternoon. So that's along Southern Avenue. The owner is still responsible for that area on the other side of the sidewalk. Tall grass and weeds, as I mentioned, there is some trash and debris that was not there before. Luckily, the folks that do the abatement, they would pick that up as
Right.
part of it, so that would be taken care of as well. This tall grass and weeds, as you see, it's a dirt gravel landscape, so it shouldn't have any grass and weeds at all. One more, same. And it just, I squatted down so you could kind of see how
Right.
tall they are. It's a little better.
Thank you. Yeah.
I did notice today, though, there is a for sale sign out on the property. So I'm hoping to contact that number and maybe get some cooperation between now
Okay.
and when time may be up.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've been really diligent at trying to track down the property owner, but you can only go so far as like recorded public documents. So, you're kind of limited in that regard. But it seems like you've made more than enough attempts at getting compliance and contacting the property owner. I'll ask just out of protocol, is there anyone on the line wanting to speak on this item?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Again, no one in the chamber other than staff, so no one here to speak in person. So, well, you've played cat and mouse with this property owner for a long time, and the pictures speak for themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the abatement contained in CM 230614 for the property located at 1878 East Southern.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer.
Again, our fourth agenda item has been brought into compliance, so that means our hearing today is adjourned. I'm sorry, do you have any announcements?
Yes, thank you. Just the one. Our next scheduled hearing officer meeting is set for July 18th at 5 p.m. That will be held here in the Tempe City Council chambers as well as live on Tempe 11.
And that is a Tuesday, correct?
Correct, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're adjourned.